The first thing that came to my mind is when I was 6 years old and I got offered by my uncle my very first video console.
It was communist Romania. It was quite a difficult thing. Having a computer was pretty rare.
This is a bit embarrassing. I was a massive Nintendo freak. You know, the original NES, I could defeat all of Super Mario Brothers with a single life without dying once.
Working on a micro-B with 8K of memory, loading games off a cassette tape.
Okay, now I'm 34 years old and I'm still playing video games a lot.
The first language I learned was C. And I remember learning it back in the days, pre-Windows.
It was actually during my study in my school. They were really true believers of if you know what's happening behind, when you go to a higher level, you will have a more global understanding of things. So yes, C.
The very first language that I ever learned in 5th grade, when they actually gave you audio cassettes that you would stick in a computer, was BASIC.
So I was a fairly latecomer to technology, and just seemed like the language of choice because you can do it in the front end, you can do it in the back end.
The coolest thing I've ever built was my mom's photography site, danielaphotography.com.au. We've built out a little Amazon stack, just running a little website for her.
I actually worked on kind of a box that you would put next to your electricity, and that would basically automate everything that was happening throughout your house.
One of the things I'm really proud of that I built in university was a website for the children's author Roald Dahl. It's nothing especially cutting edge, but the hundreds and thousands of teachers and students and parents who've reached out to me, that's what it's all about.
So the service that I'm most interested in initially was AWS Lambda because of the serverless compute and the fact that it reduced the operational overhead.
My favorite AWS service, everybody probably says AWS Lambda, right? So I cannot say it. So I'll say something else. I'll say maybe ground station. One day, if I ever have a satellite, I'll be sure to use that service.
Server is probably the combination of ECR and ECS. So you're just trying something and you want to see it live. So you're just firing up your Docker, putting it in SER, instantiating it in ECS, and voila.
So the community is very important when you're trying to learn a new technology, because the issues, the problems that you're facing, someone else has also faced them or is facing right now. So if you reach out to people on Twitter, on Reddit, on other various forums, you will get answers, help.
I think one of the real benefits of what we're trying to build here with the local AWS community is just access to learn from us. We want to put AWS experts out in front of the community. We want to learn from you and have you learn from us.
I was privileged to be a part of the very first community day here in Sydney in 2018. And it's just been such a privilege to think about how do we build communities, how do we work with others, what can we do to make everything more inclusive?
I think the one glaring gap in the technology communities is a lack of gender diversity. Unless we tap into that potential, we're really missing out as a community and a technology community on some really interesting ideas.
I've always been a person who was not interested in tech so much for the sake of it, but for the end result. For me, it's all about connecting people. It's all about enabling people to start businesses, to help each other.
So I think about the research that has now been enabled by technology in terms of what you can do for modeling experiments and customizing medications. I think about what technology can do in terms of creating access for folks like my father. That's where you see potential, and yeah, that's why I get excited about it.
Technology matters because it can really change the world for the better. It can make education more accessible. It can democratize a lot of things that the first world takes for granted, but is inaccessible in other places. So I think technology has this amazing power to bring people up and give people an amazing opportunity to succeed.
It's a real enabler. I really find that companies like Amazon that are making technology super accessible and super affordable is what really makes me super passionate about this space.